Since we're together, you might as well stay. Let's try to make the best of this beautiful day. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? And it was almost like when he was returned home, the thought of going back home, that transition just shifted him into a whole different pathway. And that was the title for tonight is Pathways of Destruction, because that pathway that he chose, very obviously very short-sighted, very impulse-driven, very gratification-driven, because I guess he got in a lot of other trouble over the last 10 days that he's been home and hadn't reported himself to jail. But it's almost like it's a self-perpetuating. It's not even self-perpetuating. It is self-perpetuating because his early history, his biological parents, both have been in prison. And it's like his genetic coding and some of the challenges he's had over the years has just reinforced those pathways. And so it's almost like he just started going down that pathway, and that pathway became a self-reinforcing pathway, which has led him back into jail.
Oh, so many things. The stress of raising this many children, and just us each bringing in our own trauma. Now we know that it was trauma, bringing our own trauma into the relationship and not knowing how to deal with it.
If you will just think about what it is that I'm telling you when I'm giving you guys this feedback and these suggestions, the thing is they come from a different paradigm of understanding. I'm looking at the dynamics differently. I'm not looking at them the same way everyone else looks at them, because the perspective that I look at them from is a love-based perspective. And I feel that so many times we approach things from a fear-based perspective, and then we're very limited in our abilities to see things differently. And so getting back to the topic of tonight, when you feel like as a parent you can't go on, here's the thing. Whether it's sending your kid to a camp, whether it's sending them to a residential treatment facility, whether it's sending them to a group home, that doesn't stop the fact that they're still your child. And it's okay to be stressed out and overwhelmed. It's okay to hit the limit of your ability, what you believe to be your ability to connect and develop a relationship with your child. What I'm going to tell you is that just because you send your child away, that's not the end. In fact, that's just the beginning. I hope for you as a parent, it's just the beginning. That you realize after following me here on Facebook Live, following, Post Institute stuff, wherever you may be following us, or wherever you may have heard of our perspective on parenting, I hope you realize that this isn't just about your child, that this just isn't about your child's brokenness. It's not about his diagnosis. It's not about his disorders. This is a family challenge. It is a challenge for all members of the family to learn how to relate to one another from a perspective of love and understanding and support.
From my perspective, when Joaquin came to us, he had a lot of neglect and abuse that impacted him in a way that we were not equipped for. I think his behaviors and personality were deeply impacted by what he suffered, and we were ill-equipped to deal with that in our home, in our relationship. I don't think we were at all prepared for that. And when he began acting out, which was pretty quickly after he came to our home, we just didn't know what to do.
So that's very important. So the other night at the dad's group, I created this little sketch. In fact, it's going to be backwards if I show it to you like that. So I'm going to turn it around right here. So now you can see it. So here's the illustration, essentially. This is the brain. This is your limbic system. This is your prefrontal cortex. This is your midbrain, your hypothalamus, your hippocampus, which is also known as your screen. Now, here, the limbic system you see runs down the spinal cord to the heart, to the gut, to all your extremities. The significance there is that when you become stressed in this part of your brain, it actually engages your physical body as well as your emotional body as well as your thoughts. So that's very important. But here's what people oftentimes don't understand. Trauma is stored within the limbic system. So you see all these little dots. Actually, I created the bigger dots when I was making a point, a different kind of point. So I'm gonna remove those bigger dots. Let me stay on my screen up here. I got these I have these very fat markers, so I can't just pull them off. So I'm gonna fill that back in. What people don't realize about trauma is that trauma gets stored in that part of your brain, the limbic system part of your brain. The limbic system part of your brain is not a thinking part of your brain. And because the limbic system is not a thinking part of your brain, it just gets stirred up.
Growth when Brian came and gave that talk, and the things that he was saying, like, they resonated exactly with what I was going through at the time. And so it was just like a wow moment, you know. Like, I'm learning all this stuff, and then this program's starting up to help our family, and he's just reaffirming everything that I'd been learning up to that point. So
I love this little scientific quote. It is believed that affect dysregulation is a fundamental mechanism involved in all psychiatric disorders. It is believed that being stressed out is the fundamental cause of all physical, cognitive, emotional, behavioral problems. It is believed that affect dysregulation is a fundamental mechanism involved in all psychiatric disorders. If your child has a diagnosis, any of your children are diagnosed? Diagnosis. Guess what you have? Stressed out child. Whoa. Guess what that child does to you? Stresses you out. Guess what you got to do? Calm your stress first, and then calm theirs. Calm your stress first, and then calm theirs. How do you calm your stress? The first way you do it is you start breathing. Breathing is the one proven way to calm our stress physiology. But guess what the first thing is we do when we get stressed? We stop breathing. As soon as we get stressed, we stop breathing. Guess what happens to our cortisol? And our anxiety increases. It increases. If your child is getting agitated and getting stirred up, and you can't first stop and breathe, you're not going to be able to calm your child down. If you can't, as the parents, as the adults, if you can't stop and breathe, I didn't say stop and tell Johnny to stop what he's doing. I said stop and breathe. If you're breathing, you are not talking. That means not talking. Stop talking. Just breathe. Breathe with me right now. Inhale through your nose, exhale out of your mouth. That's a relaxation breathe. breath. If you breathe through your nose, if you're a nose breather, it increases your anxiety. So if you nose breathe, it increases your anxiety. You've got to breathe through your nose and exhale your mouth. You've got to train yourself. You have to condition yourself. If your child's misbehaving and you can't stop and breathe first and foremost, I always say take 3 to 10 deep breaths. 3 to 10 deep breaths before you say or do anything.
So I'm with Jack. Jack, what's your role here at Post Institute?
I'm a family support coach. Just started on Monday.
Started on Monday? Awesome. And hey, are you excited about what we're doing? What are you excited about?
Definitely. It's a fun new role for me. I've done stuff kind of like this, but not full on. Just working individually with families. I'm excited.
Not thought so in depth about the brain functions and the level of stress and places, state of consciousness that people are working through. And yeah, how do you feel about what we're hearing in there with Brian? And
it's really good. I think it's pretty poignant, and it makes sense that just we should fight stress. We should just combat the things that cause stress within the family, and create understanding that the whole family can follow that just to lower levels of stress. I think it's
simple, right?
Work. Yeah.
And clear to the point. Yeah, everybody can get on board with that. Cool. Yeah, I think so too. It's really, it's when you have like a framework to work through, I think everybody can like more consciously process, understand, and be able to dissociate from what's happening with their bodies and stress.
Yeah, it's good we're all on the same page. It's good that we're doing this training just to learn who's on board too, who the team is.
Totally. All right, thanks, Jack.
Choose love. Choose love. Choose love.